That's limber. Oh, hey, welcome to Mash on This, Mashable's daily culture and entertainment show that gives you tomorrow's biggest news stories today. Sponsored by Ally's Hardest Working Dollar. I'm your host, a heinously sexual Steve Kornacki, also known as Dory Greenberg. On Mash on This, we give you a quick rundown of what we think is the best the internet has to offer. So be sure to tell us what you think in the comments, and we'll get to them at the end of the show. We promise. Now, let's get into it. Our big story today is about sexism within the tech industry. We've covered this topic numerous times on Mash on This, but things have recently reached a new boiling point. Our own Carrie Flynn wrote a stunning piece about Silicon Valley venture capitalists and their weak apologies for their creepy behavior, and she'll be here later in the show to break it all down for you. But for now, let's get into more of today's top stories. In his predictable Monday morning Twitter storm, Donald Trump, like an old, fat amateur boxer, took his usual jabs at healthcare and James Comey, but this time he included a surprising yet still very sloppy uppercut to Chelsea Clinton. Why was Trump talking about the former first kid? Well, it all started when Trump received some backlash after Ivanka Trump, the woman who claims she's trying to stay out of politics and whose resume does not include an ounce of political experience, sat in for her father at a section at the G20 summit on Saturday. Understandably, some people were like, why is this happening? Which then got Donald all riled up, and he launched into a defense of his decision for Ivanka to hold his seat. First, he said German Chancellor Angela Merkel said it was okay, which would have been fine. But of course, Donald couldn't help himself, and then thought it was prudent to say that if Chelsea Clinton made this move, that she would be praised, not criticized. Clinton quickly responded to the president's tweet, defending her parents while questioning whether he was the one actually giving the country away. Of course, in typical Trump fashion, calling out Chelsea was likely just a distraction from all the media attention surrounding Donald Trump Jr.'s collision with the Russians before the election. Jr. also wanted to get in on the whole misdirection fun with this tweet, to which everyone, upon reading it out loud, said, "Please God, no. Anyone but him." In other news, some people in the world are concerned that smart speakers like the Amazon Echo and Google Home are listening in on their conversations, on your conversations like Big Brother. But this next story shows how this kind of mechanical eavesdropping actually saved lives. Over the weekend in New Mexico, a man named Eduardo Barros got into a fight with his girlfriend, who will remain anonymous, and he pulled out a firearm and threatened to kill her. During the altercation, he said out loud, "Did you call the sheriffs?" And the smart speaker in the house heard it and understood it as a prompt to call 911. The SWAT team and a crisis negotiation team were sent to the scene and took Barros into custody. Nobody is sure yet exactly which kind of smart home system was responsible for this unusual act of tech heroism, but the fact that this kind of product has the capability to call for help when you might not be able to is pretty incredible. And say what you will about the inevitable robot uprising. All I can say is, if smart speakers can help prevent horrible incidents like domestic violence from escalating, then we have no choice but to salute them. Guys and gals, we are about to be balls deep in Game of Thrones Season 7. I'm a pretty standard fan of the show, but if you happen to be like our producer, Whittle Baby Sarah, who thinks the show is too scary to watch, then you might feel a little bit isolated from pretty much every conversation for the rest of the summer. But don't you worry, because here at Mashable, we've come up with a foolproof way for you to be a part of the conversation without ever watching a single episode. Consider it Game of Thrones for dummies. Step 1. Say you love the dragon almost as much as you love Jon Snow. Did you even know there was a dragon? Well, congratulations, you do now. Step 2, keep repeating the phrase, "Winter's coming, winter's coming." Trust us when we say it ain't coming until the final season. Step 3, and this is the most important step in fooling true GOT fans, cover your ears with your hands and say, "La la la, no spoilers please, oh." For the rest of you regular GOT fanatics out there, what else do you think these dummies should say to feel included? Or Do you have any crazy predictions for season 7? Let us know in the comments. All right, so a little peek behind the curtain for you viewers. We write this show every morning until about 12:30, so sometimes stories that emerge in the afternoon pass us by, and if they're really good ones, we get sad that we didn't get a chance to cover them. However, sometimes these stories grow legs, allowing us a chance to get our grubby paws on them. Snortable chocolate was one of these stories. Last week, news broke that snortable chocolate was actually a thing, which led to Sarah and I vomiting on each other and then having a good laugh. Ha ha ha. It's called Coco Loco, and it's chocolate powder that mixes cacao with ingredients commonly found in energy drinks, and it encourages you to put it up inside of your nose. Not surprisingly, it has both doctors and politicians voicing concerns about the very obvious safety risk of putting chocolate up one's nose. In a letter on Saturday, Senator Chuck Schumer asked the FDA to step in and regulate the product, saying that children probably shouldn't have access to over-the-counter stimulants. Coco Loco's founder, Nick Anderson, who previously came up with a drug-free version of purple drink called Legal Lean, has said he didn't consult any medical professionals beforehand, but believes in his heart that his product is safe. According to its website, Coco Loco promises feelings of ecstasy-like euphoria and a rush of motivation without a crash that only lasts for about an hour. And y'all, this really gives the term chocoholic a whole new meaning. As why even stop at snorting chocolate and also therefore giving yourself chocolate boogers? Why not just mainline the watered-down chocolate? Really get a rush going. The FDA hasn't determined whether it has the authority to regulate snortable chocolate yet, but honestly, I cannot wait to see how DARE tries to tackle this issue. Should be fun for you kids. But hey, don't let the flagrancy of snortable chocolate get you down. There are some vices out there that can be a whole lot of fun. Take the Darwin's beer can regatta that happens on Australia's Mindel Beach, where a bunch of tipsy wannabe sailors construct boats out of aluminum cans and then take to the sea in the hopes of finding the buried treasure prize in the water. This annual event has been happening for over 40 years and has become more family-friendly in recent years with a soda can boat race just for the kiddos in attendance. And the closest thing that we have to this kind of event in the States is what's called the beer can races in San Diego, which started out as a drinking event way back when on sailboats, but has descended into boredom with little to no sipping involved now. And to be honest, I'm a little sad about how much Aussies get to have fun. How much fun Aussies, I'm not drunk yet, I promise, but Aussies get to have fun. Us Puritans sit around and take sailing way too seriously. What do y'all think, though? Should we get a legit beer? I'm not drunk. I'm just Monday. Do you want a beer can regatta in the US of A? Tell me about it in the comments. Y'all, we mentioned at the top of the show that we have a big story to discuss regarding the truly gross sexism that has permeated through Silicon Valley. And here to walk us through it is our very own business reporter, Carrie Flynn. Carrie Flynn,
Thanks
welcome back to the show.
Thanks for reminding me to talk about my favorite topic.
Oh my God.
Sexism.
Isn't it fun?
I talk about it every day at every chance I can. I love talking about it with other women, too.
Yeah, yeah.
So happy to be here.
It's a very different dynamic when you talk about it with men. This is a safe space. So you wrote a really brilliant article. It's on Mashable.com that discusses how apology blog posts from the likes of venture capitalist Dave McClure and Shark Tank's Chris Sacca aren't really doing anything to stop the behavior of rampant sexism and sexual harassment in the tech startup world. So can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
Yeah, I guess the TLDR is that we don't need men just talking, like saying I'm sorry way too late. But I guess first off, unfortunately, I just want to talk about that sexism in the tech industry is not breaking news. It's been rampant in Silicon Valley for decades, just like it's pervasive in Hollywood, on Wall Street, in the media. But the news here, and it's somewhat good news, is that some women in Silicon Valley aren't standing for it anymore. They're speaking out, and most importantly, on the record with their names attached about what happened to them and what else they're seeing. And we had this before. Ellen Powell, formerly of Reddit, spoke out about the gender discrimination she faced at her VC firm, Kleiner Perkins. That was back in 2015. But she lost their lawsuit against them, and that was very unfortunate. But she did bring mainstream attention to the problem. So that was good. And now what we're seeing is many women really join out and put their name out there and get support, and things are changing. So kind of fast forward now to my piece over the weekend. It focused on what I found to be rather disgusting. These apology notes from venture capitalists who were accused of sexual harassment and one of sexual abuse. So these letters were pretty cringeworthy to read, especially they were just not transparent. So Chris Sacca, who you mentioned, his was written prior to his big outing from the New York Times that outed him for sexual harassment. So you like read this letter and you're like, Chris Sacca, like, why are you all of a sudden woke to sexism? And you're like, oh, it's because you sexually harass people. That's awkward.
Yeah, you were trying to get like ahead of the story.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so in your article, you also asked the question, is the venture capital industry broken? Specifically because of the fact that with the people with the money who invest in the VC industry don't have the jurisdiction or the capability to regulate the behavior of the venture capitalists. So is there any hope for change among these creepos?
We can definitely hope. So I guess the question is, like, who can change this?
Right.
And what you just mentioned, the people who give money to venture capital firms are university endowments and pensions. And they don't really have the incentive to put change out there because it's really such a fraction of their money.
Right.
So that's kind of a lot of like financial jargon to say like, no. But we can see change. There's hope just from the people that I mentioned earlier, from women continuing to speak up about what happens to them. So like no matter what scenario it is, if it seems so small, just call out the people in power. The other thing that can change is that venture capital firms need to hire more women and just in other underrepresented diversity. So it's getting harder from my perspective, and I think from other people in the Valley, to really trust 5 white men sitting around a table and dealing with millions of dollars. It's
Can't
like
do it anymore.
You just are so close-minded. So I think there's going to be change with that, and it of course doesn't come quickly. But like with the power of the press, awesomely, and through social media platform, things are changing for the better because people are talking about it.
People like you.
Yeah.
For all of y'all who haven't yet, definitely read Carrie Flynn's article on Mashable.com right now. It's brilliant, and you won't sound like a ding-dong when you talk about it among your friends or your family. Carrie, we love you. Can you stay for comments?
Yeah, just hope no breaking news happens.
Okay. Breaking news. Just cool it for a second.